If you're a podcaster or looking to get started, look no further than Anchor. It's totally free, offers amazing creation tools for recording and editing your podcast from your phone or computer, and they will distribute your podcast to Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more directories. They also make it super easy to make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership requirements. Simply put, Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm today. Hello everyone, quick announcement. Sleep and Relax ASMR has partnered with X Tingles to release 2 exclusive NFTs available either by auction or sale on X Tingles platform. X Tingles is the premier marketplace for ASMR digital art and collectibles, which you can collect, sell, and trade. Collecting pieces means you'll be a pioneer in this emerging technology, as well as support this podcast. In practical terms, you'll be able to collect and trade digital art that combines audio and visual into one. So for more information, you can visit xtingles.com, that's xtingles.com, or you can email me at hello@sleepandrelaxasmr.com if you have any questions or comments. Link in the description. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sleep and Relax ASMR. I'd like to loop you into my life, what's been new with me, what's been going on my end, inside access if you will. Yesterday was one of those days where I was just incredibly bored. It doesn't happen very often. I would say maybe a few times a year, where I have a time period of maybe a couple days where I just seem to be a little bit in a bored kind of mood. You know, like the things I do, they don't make me angry, they don't make me sad, but they also don't make me overly joyous or fulfilled. It has nothing to do with not having a perspective on the beautiful things and people that I should be thankful for, because even in boredom, I am always pretty conscious, and I try to express gratitude for the people, the hobbies, the things around me, truly speaking. But sometimes, and I'm sure you can relate, you go through this little dumpy time where for some reason you're just bored for an extended time. It could be a few minutes, maybe a few hours, maybe a few days. You know, it's totally normal. After all, I think we need to experience some dull moments in life so that we can really enjoy the good times. I really do believe and feel that. Dumpy is a strange word. It's the first time I've used that word. I don't quite know what other words to say, because I wouldn't say I'm down, because I'm not down. Absolutely not. Depressed. It's kind of like a malaise. Right. You know, this general feeling of like uneasiness, discomfort. You know, the exact cause is difficult to identify. You know, that's probably the best word to describe my attitude and feeling over the past few days. Not few, just a couple. Several. I use several to refer to 3 exclusively. And I'm wondering, is that universal, or is that just me as I wonder, as I ramble about my boredom, simultaneously making you bored while you listen to this, I'm sure. But see, isn't it funny how my boredom can become a topic of conversation, and then I'll start to ramble about it to you, and you subsequently become bored, but it's actually a good kind of bored, because it's boredom that leads to sleepiness and ultimately your rest. So you're kind of taking advantage of the fact that I'm bored for your boredom, for your gain of sleep, whereas I just have to deal with boredom. But I don't blame you. I think it's okay. I'll just continue going on about it because after all, it is an episode about boredom. Keep telling you how I feel. Recently, it's been one of those times where I wake up and I'm bored, and I'm going about my day, no problem. Again, not bored to the point of being sleepy or being unhappy. It's just bored. And then I'll get to the office and I'm excited about a project or something that's coming up, but then I quickly become bored and I look forward to going home so I can do stuff, and for most of the point I'm bored when doing that. It's been like this for 2 days. Now, to be fair, I've been a little sick these past few days, so my eyes are a little uncomfortable and irritable, and in general my body is aching a little bit. It's always one of the most annoying parts of being sick, aside from the obvious symptoms and effects. Not meaning to undermine sickness at all, but it's that, it's that little aching that you feel after doing anything and everything. Like just standing up, grabbing some water, eating something, and then laying down after 20 minutes of essentially just mundane daily activities, including, as I just referenced, standing up, eating, drinking. Once you finally lay down, it feels as if you spent the entire day training for a marathon. So, not fun at all. Or, for example, I'll write an email and then click send. Maybe a total of 5 minutes in some cases. Well, once I hit send, and while being sick, my eyes just feel so heavy, like I've been staring at a screen for 8 hours straight. And don't get me started on groceries. But I'll go on with the example anyway. Went to the grocery store, did the classic thing that so many impatient people do, which is try to grab absolutely every bag possible so as to avoid a second trip. So of course I have bags all over, stumbling up the stairs into the apartment, open the apartment, get in, put the groceries away, and then I was just absolutely exhausted. And I'll just deviate there for a second. I've noticed that it's always impatient boys and men that do that. But this is what makes women so much better than men in so many aspects. Is women understand, you can be patient, you can grab a couple bags at a time. At least 3 or 4 times in my life, I have dropped groceries because I've decided to try to grab 40 bags at a time. Drop something or a few things. And then, of course, what happens? I have to go back in the car, get the grocery, or walk to the grocery store in some cases, get new eggs, get new milk. But, like my mother never told me to do that. Not even my dad. My dad, I think, he just said, okay, just do whatever you want. But every friend I've had, now that I go grocery shopping with my friends, but when we were little, let's say, go to their house and, their mom had to go to the grocery store. Obviously, I'd tag along, and we just do the same thing. But then my friend's sisters never did that anyway. Like right now, I'm so bored. I nearly clicked away from this recording to go look at something else online, and I never do that when recording because I don't know. Because I'm in this kind of mood recently, I think I'm looking to do something when in reality I need to probably just relax and refocus, continue building discipline. Nonetheless, I do have a hypothesis as to why I've felt like this. One word: routine. I am a very routine-oriented person. I like the idea of waking up and having a very clear idea of what the day will have for me. I don't micromanage, and as a matter of fact, I really dislike that. I'm not the kind of person that, for example, 7:30 a.m., wake up, shower. Or 7 a.m., wake up, shower, 7:15, go to the kitchen, make 2 eggs, 2 toasts, half a cup of coffee, 7:50, out the door, head to work, whatever, 8:30, arrive to the office, open email, check messages, For me, I can't do that. For me, it's just blocks of my day. So, for example, morning, wake up, shower, record. Breakfast, head to office. Afternoon, work, of course. In general, just reserve that for work. Evening, exercise can be in the form of jogging, perhaps going to the gym. Once completed with that, reserve time to have dinner or enjoy time with friends and or family. Otherwise, just wind down for the rest of the day and prepare for the day after. Recently, my exercise has been compromised, mostly of jogging. I go through these phases where I really enjoy the gym because of the fact that I get to lift, and it is very helpful, and it gives me the best results, of course. But sometimes I get so frustrated with dealing with so many people at the gym, and I'm wondering if others out there go through a similar phase from time to time where it's like you just want to zone out, and it's hard to zone out when you have a group of 5 high school kids lifting together, which I've never understood. If you have a group of more than 3, why are you guys waiting for the same machine? I've seen that so many times where, again, kids, 16 years old, 5, 6 of them, just looking at each other while they're lifting, talking to each other, sharing the same machine. I guess they treat it more as an opportunity to fraternize and have a good time and hang out, but it doesn't seem to be a very effective strategy. But in either case, recently I've been almost exclusively jogging, and then what happens is I reach a point where I get bored of jogging, and then I'll switch to lifting. So, yeah. Where did I leave off? Anyway, on weekends, let's say there's a sporting event I'd like to watch, perhaps a Premier League match, perhaps a basketball game, whatever it may be. I'll block off that part of my day and work around it. So, for example, morning, wake up, shower, have breakfast, head to the sporting event, head to a bar to go watch the game, in the case of Premier League. Afternoon/evening, depending on whatever time I get home, edit a couple of episodes, have dinner, get ready for tomorrow, so on and so forth. Look, routines are funny things. See, I read that habits form in 3 steps, or in 3 parts. There's a cue that signals it's time for some behavior to occur. Secondly, there's the routine, the behavior itself. And thirdly is the reward, something that your brain likes and helps it remember that kind of habit cycle. So, rambling on, I think the issue with my boredom has been a lack of routine. I've been traveling a bit, partially for work, but I have flexibility in terms of how I spend my time. And what has occurred is, for the first couple of days, I didn't have my routine, and everything was very unfamiliar. I've noticed that when I'm out of my routine, outside of that comfort zone, my natural inclination is to want to just be idle until I get back into it. And then I start questioning everything. So, for example, my normal routine, as I've touched on before, my day typically consists of recording and editing for the podcast. My regular 9 to 5, which I enjoy and keeps me very busy, exercise, and then time with friends and family. And basically every day, every other day, I do this. In general, I don't stop to watch TV. I don't get on YouTube. I listen to podcasts throughout the day, but it's always accompanied while doing something that is either productive or important, or physically/emotionally fulfilling or satisfactory. But once I get outside that routine, I want to naturally shut down. While on this work trip, I didn't get into the office until 12 p.m. I knew this. Rather than waking up or working on a podcast, maybe hitting the gym, maybe spending quality time with coworkers, I just prefer to wake up and do everything with a half of what I usually give to activities and projects. And I think what happens is, during a time like this, I feel a bit aimless. And more importantly, I start to question, what is the best use of my time today, right now? And then I'll start second guessing it. And that leads to this kind of idleness and this kind of general feeling of boredom, because I'm not giving the appropriate amount of time or attention and passion that I should. It's not a good natural state. It's something I try to actively fight, because ultimately one should try and be flexible. That's something that I remember my grandfather would always say when I was a kid, was, you must be flexible. And when you're a petulant little child, at first I said, I'm not physically flexible and I don't want to be, and he would of course explain, I'm not talking about your physical flexibility, I'm talking about your discipline and your patience. You have to be flexible to adapt to what's going on around you. That's always stuck with me as I've gotten older, and naturally I incline towards being impatient. And I naturally incline to these routines. And so again, when I don't have these routines every day, or when I don't have things that are appropriately planned for, it's a struggle for me to work around it. Something that I always fight against. I think one should try to adapt, even if that means being uncomfortable and having to form a new routine or step outside of that routine for a certain amount of time. Or maybe I'm just sick and I haven't given myself enough time to properly recover. And really, the more I think about it, the more I believe that's probably just the truth. Rather than taking a full day to do absolutely nothing, I try to push on. And I think this may be my body's way of yelling at me and saying, dude, relax. Just relax for once in your life. I always try to do something. I always like to be as productive as I can in a single day. So for me, just lying down, even when sick, even when I understand it's productive insofar that I would actually rest and be over my sickness quicker, it's difficult for me to relax for an entire day. It's I always find it interesting how, for me with my sibling, it's very different, right? Sibling, she's when she's sick, she's able to just go ahead and just take the day off. It's okay. And then what happens? She recovers very quickly. So in a couple of days, back to 100%, back to the normal routine. Whereas me, I'll say, no, let me try to maybe cut down on some things here and there, but let me really try and push through. And so what happens is I stay sick for a week, 10 days, because I'm never actually resting, never listening to anyone's advice, stressing myself out. And it makes you wonder, what is really the best way of approaching these type of things? It all depends on your personality. It's amazing how even siblings, I have 2 cousins, and they're very young, and they are so different that it makes you wonder, how is that possible? You guys are related, only separated by a year or 2, and here you are displaying totally different characteristics one from the other. But anyway, you know what? With that boredom rant and ramble, I hope I've helped put you to sleep. And see, by doing that, it gives me that feeling of happiness and energy again. The first step to shaking off this state of boredom. And so I thank you for listening and for sleeping. If you have any questions or comments, you can always reach me at hello@sleepandrelaxasmr.com. That's all for this episode. Thanks as always for listening, and take care.